You are tuned in to your dose of positivity. I am Marlene Motivates, and as I always say, just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be it, and live your best life.
And to gain further support, join my channel membership. Hey everybody, it's Marlene of Marlene Motivates, and welcome. I am your channel for motivation, inspiration, positivity, self-improvement, and mindset shifting. If you're new here, welcome. I would love for you to hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to all of my motivators, family, and to my members. And I see I got a new member, and that is Shay Love. Welcome to membership, Shay Love. Check out the community post for all of the videos and all of the member only support. So, welcome to membership. So thank you so much for joining membership, Shay Love. Welcome. And shout out to you. Hey, Miss Tracy, you got a member in the house. How are you doing? Good to see you, Miss Tracy. And I hope you're doing well. Happy Tuesday to you. I hope you're doing awesome. Got another member in the house. Hey, Nate, how are you doing? Blessings to you as well, and everybody in the chat. And I would really appreciate it if you guys could hit the like. I'd really appreciate that. So, everybody, we're talking about communication over here today. Um, it's something that I've been wanting to cover for a little bit, but we're getting into it today. We're going to talk about the art of communicating, speaking effectively. It's so important to the words that we say, that we're able to, what we say, reach a person and hit them so that they can understand. So, to talk about communication, first we have to start off by defining communication. What is communication? Communication is defined as imparting or exchanging information or news. imparting or exchanging information or news. Or another definition of it is sending or receiving information. And communication comes in the form of talking, writing, listening, and reading. So all of which are important. So why did I say it's called the art of communicating? Because it really is. There's a lot of people who speak and they say things, but it's not effective to the other person. It's misunderstood, and we're going to get into. I think I have 10 ways. I believe so. 11 ways. We're going to get into 11 ways how we can speak more effectively. What are some of the tools that we can use? So let me check the chat one more time and then we're going to get started. Okay, awesome. So the first point, when we talk about effective communication, this is so key and it's so vital. When we talk about communication, it's about listening. Listen, listen, listen. When I was a child, something my dad used to always say all the time is you have one mouth, but you have two ears. So you need to listen two times more than you speak. So with communication, while we say things, we talk, we also need to listen to what another person is, because communication is an exchange between two people or a group of people. So while it's important for us to communicate effectively what we're thinking, what we're trying to reach to another person, it's also very important to let others know and understand that I'm going to listen to you, that is effective, and it's very important that it goes both ways. And a lot of times it does not go both ways. So we definitely have to work on being an effective communicator, and that means listen. So we got to be quiet sometimes and allow other people to say what they want to say, and then we have to also be in part of actively listening. And when I talk about active listening, being a woman, I'm not biased. I'm not just trying to attack women, but sometimes as women, we're so ready. As soon as we hear something, we're thinking of what we're going to say back. We think about our response rather than taking some time to work on our listening skills and really get what another person is trying to say to us. And it can be frustrating sometimes because it depends on the person. Is it a person who listens back to us? Are they effective communicators? There's a lot of factors that go into communicating, and listening is definitely one of them. So we have to work on being a better listener if we want to communicate effectively. We tend to think a lot of times that it's about us and what we have to say in our message, but it's an even exchange. It has to go both ways. We can't take over the conversation um, effectively. um, they don't communicate effectively, and I think that that can be a big issue and problem a lot of times, that we always say that we want people to listen to us, but are we good listeners? It's usually very easy for us to want to express everything to another person. It's so important that we want to get out our message, but also, are we doing the same thing to others? Are we allowing people to talk as well? We don't want to be the person to control the conversation, to dominate, to be very demanding or crass or rude. There's a lot of things that can block us from being an effective communicator. All of that is so important. Yes, you guys are chatting with each other in the chat. And I think that's so important. To work on our communication skills is vital, it's important, and it shows that we respect other people. just as we want to be respected, just as we want other people to listen to us, we have to ask ourselves, but am I being a good listener as well? It's a two-way street, it goes both ways. So, everybody, listen, listen, and then listen some more. We all could learn how to. We all could learn how to tune in just a little bit and to not just hear, but to really listen to what another person is saying to us. Yes, I hope everyone is enjoying their Tuesday so far. Thank you so much, Nate. I hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday. Your week is going well. Thank you so much for that, Nate. I really appreciate it. And it's so important when we talk about listening. We also, this can be like a big issue a lot of times when we talk about communication is respecting a different opinion or thought. And for me, that was like a big deal because I used to always equate when I would say something to somebody and their opinion was different from mine. It was a different thought process, it was a different opinion, it was different values than what I had. And used to take it as a hit against me. Like I felt like they were being disrespectful or rude when it's quite the opposite. Everybody comes from different spaces. Everybody has different cultures and opinions, right? Everybody. They go through different things. They have different values, opinions, and all kinds of things that they have been through in their life. So no two people are going to think alike, and it's okay. That's one thing that I had to learn when we talk about communication. It's okay that somebody is different. It's okay that somebody has a different opinion or that they don't agree with us. That's all right. Let other people have their own opinion or thoughts, just as long as it's respectful. That's something that as adults we need to learn about, those type of boundaries. It's okay for you to feel and think how you think and feel, just as long as you can respect my opinions and thoughts as well. So that's how communication can be transferred effectively, is having respect. I let you talk and say what you have to say, and okay, 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 and then you say what you have to say, and it's respectful. It's not a shouting match. It's not name calling, all of that stuff that that's childish. That's not mature. And if you find that you're into shouting with somebody, that's not communication. That's an argument. That's fighting, and that's not communication. And I can say, growing up, how I grew up, that's just the only ways that my family growing up knew. They thought that if they said something and someone disagreed, the only way, like if I shout, it's going to make you agree with me. And you can't change another person's mind. You can't change how another person feels, and you definitely cannot change someone else's story. What the things that they have been through, you may not agree with it. You may not like it. It may frustrate you, but it doesn't stop it from being their own personal experience, their own personal story. So we definitely have to work on that and improve and be better at just letting people have their moment, let people vent how they feel, because part of communication is letting people, some people don't have an outlet to express themselves and to say, I went through this, I'm frustrated, whatever, whatever, whatever. And part of communication too is it's not always responding, having a response. Sometimes a good communicator just is a person who is there as a good listening ear. We started off the top of this discussion by talking about listen, listen, listen. Part of being a good listener is letting another person have their time to express themselves. So let another person express themselves. Let other people have an opinion or a thought that's different from you, and it won't change anything. It just shows that, okay, this is me. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm going through, and then let them have it. And you don't have to like it or say anything back. You could just say, um, thank you for sharing that with me. It doesn't have to be an agreeable thing. And that's something that I definitely had to learn, is that I could hear something, I could hear what somebody else is saying. And while I may not agree with it, I may not like it, I may not understand, it's a different value than that of mine, but I'll let you have yours because that's what they're going through, that's what they're dealing with, that's where they are in their life. And I had to learn to stop wrapping up my feelings, my self-esteem in what they're going through. Let other people have their own experience. Not everybody has the same experiences. I had to learn to just pull back and to let other people have, if that's what they've been through and gone through, and that's what they think and they believe, let them have it. Let them have it. And I just say, okay, it doesn't take anything from you to just listen. It doesn't take anything from you to empathize with another person, and just let another person say what they want to say and feel how they want to feel. That's how we show that we're growing, that we're mature, that we can be understanding, and that we're grown. We're a grown adult, and it's something that I can say I personally had to learn. I thought that I only could listen to somebody who agreed with me all the time, that had my back. And we can't always be right. We can't always have somebody that believes the same things we believe or has the same thoughts that we have, because every single person is different, and it's something that I had to grow into, I had to mature into, I had to allow people to have their opinions, and it didn't take away from who I was as a woman. And the same thing for you all motivators, it doesn't take away from you to let another person have their say and their whatever they're going through, as long as they are respectful. Respect goes both ways, and that's so important in communication. You should respect the other person, and they should respect you. So vital. Hey Shay, how are you doing? Welcome. I just played at the top of the hour. I just played um, a song for you to welcome you to membership. Thank you so much for joining membership. I really appreciate you. I hope you're doing well. Hey, realist one. Welcome in. We got a moderator in the house. I really appreciate you being here. How are you doing? Thank you so much for being here. And if you guys could hit the like, I'd really appreciate it. And share me out so that somebody else can get this message that is so important about communication. So I think I'm on point number 3. Yep. So, when we talk about the art of communicating and speaking effectively, it's so important that we ask questions. When we are communicating something to somebody, we tend to think because we say something to someone that they automatically will get it, and it goes for everybody. On the job, with the person you're in a relationship with friends, with family, we have to ask questions, ask people, okay, did you understand that, or what did you get from that? What was your understanding? um, don't think that everybody will understand. So ask things like, what do you mean, if you don't understand something that somebody else says, and vice versa. Ask questions and then respond to them. Don't get irritated. That's another thing that I had to learn too. When we communicate things, we have to learn to be patient, because some people may have a learning disability. Some people just are, it may be their second language or third language. So it's a lot of things that go into communication, and asking questions and being patient with one another is so vital. When you're saying something to someone, don't be short. Don't snap at people. Don't snap orders like you're talking to a child, you know. Treat other people like adults. When you're communicating, be respectful. Respect other people. That's so important. And ask questions. Oh, thank you so much, Nate. I really appreciate that. Yeah, ask questions, everybody. That's one thing that I had to work on doing more. That if somebody said something to me, especially like on the job, in business or something, if I don't understand something, don't don't hold back from asking questions, because we feel sometimes that if we ask questions, we'll look dumb. We'll look dumb. We'll sound dumb. But the only dumb questions are the ones we don't ask. So ask away. If you don't understand something, if you don't comprehend something, if you need more detail, clarification, ask the questions, because later on then they'll say, look, why didn't you ask me if you didn't understand? So communication is important, but also doing it effectively. Effective communication means asking the questions that other people won't. The majority of the time, when we fail to ask questions, I bet you there's many other people in the room that want to know the same thing that you just asked, but they're afraid to ask because they don't want to seem dumb, or they don't want to seem like they weren't listening. And it's not that. It's just sometimes you need further clarification, or maybe you only understood a few words. Maybe other things were happening that we're going to talk about in this discussion. But ask the questions. Right, realist one. They say a closed mouth don't get fed. Exactly. And especially on a job, especially in business, and you have some deadlines to meet, some things to do. Don't just go out there and just do it, and then everybody be like, that's not what we told you to do, and then you'll look silly, because why didn't you just ask? So I think it does require in communication, humility is required, because if I don't get something, I have to say to myself sometimes, like, Marlene, just ask the questions. I know you don't want to ask the questions, but we do. We have to ask questions just so that we can let other people know that we were listening and what we got from what they're talking about. So, and that goes right into this next point. When we talk about the art of communicating and speaking effectively, don't assume. We sometimes assume certain things about individuals, especially people who are family, people who are in a relationship, or friends. We assume that we know what they're talking about. We'll listen to a few words and then we kind of tune them out, and oh, yeah, I know what they're talking about, or whatever, or maybe your kids, or, whoever. We make assumptions because we say, oh, they're always talking about the same thing, and you kind of tune them out. Let's not do that. We wouldn't want that to happen to us. We want other people to listen to us when we're speaking. So don't assume that you know what another person is talking about, or what the conversation is all about. Listen, ask questions, and then if you is something that you want to know more, ask. Don't don't do don't treat other people how you wouldn't want to be treated. You wouldn't want other people to make assumptions about you. And I feel like this one right here is so important when we talk about communication and speaking effectively, like a no judgment zone. I do think a lot of times that we make judgments about other people, just based on the way they look, or maybe their status, or some other things. We make judgments by where a person lives, where how a person dresses, how they look, how they talk. So let's not do that. You wouldn't want anybody to judge you based on the way you talk, the way you look, all kinds of things. So just as we would want to be judged, we shouldn't judge other people. And it's just human nature a lot of times to judge others and to make those assumptions about another person and think that we know what they're going through and dealing with and what they're talking about. but don't judge other people. You never know what could happen to you as well. Anybody could be in certain situations. It's just some people's habit, you know, to just jump to conclusions and to judge people and to think that you know and understand when you really don't. An effective communicator is a person who is mature enough to ask questions, to clarify, to be patient, to listen, and to respect other people's opinions. You know, we cannot judge other people, even though a lot of people do. So let's not do that. Let's not judge other people. You know, they always say, you know, treat people how you want to be treated. You know, be kind to one another. It doesn't feel good when somebody does it to us. So why would you want to do that to somebody else? So a no judgment zone. Let other people say what they're going to say. Let them talk and listen to them. That's so important. And when we are talking about, you know, communication, people communicate with their body. You know, the body language is a really big deal. Just the way a person is looking, or the lack of eye contact. Um, if a person is moving, is shifting, you can see if somebody feels uncomfortable, if somebody doesn't want to be there, if somebody's not listening, if they're looking to the side, if they're on their phone, if they're folding their hands, if their face looks like flushed, like they're frustrated or angry. So pay attention to the body language of other people. And your body language can say a lot. It can say, I didn't get what you said, or you're annoying me, or you stepped on a boundary. So pay attention to how a person is looking. That's so important. Hey, puzzle pieces, how are you doing? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Got a member in the house. Yes, 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 and yes. And I always used to say to myself all the time, and get frustrated a lot of times because um, I would be saying something to somebody, and like I would be, you know, especially when I was younger as a teenager, my favorite thing always was to put my hands, you know, fold my hands or roll my eyes. So, you know, your attitude can show, your body language speaks volumes. It speaks so loud if a person is listening to you, if they want to listen to you, if they're frustrated, if they're mad, if they look like they have a question mark on their face. So we don't want to be a person to just be talking, 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 and we look at somebody and we can tell that they're not understanding, comprehending, they're upset. So maybe there are times where we have to say, okay, maybe we'll talk later because now is not a good time. So pay attention to the body language of the person that you're talking to, because it will tell you, I'm listening to you, I'm not listening to you, I don't want to hear about it, or whatever. You know, that's respecting other people's boundaries too. And that's vital to any respectful relationship. We must respect other people. We must respect other people's boundaries. And if a person tells you it's not a good time or whatever it is, respect that. And then come back later when a person is in a space that they can actually listen to you, or, you know, hear what you have to say. So pay attention to that body language, everybody. It is talking to you all the time. And especially when it comes to, you know, kids, the elderly, special needs, let you know, pay attention to how they're talking to you. People talk to you with their eyes. People talk to you, you know, folding their hands or turning their back, or if they're on their devices. So you can tell when a person is distracted or they really don't want to hear what you have to say. That's a communication as well, when they won't make eye contact or other things. And that's when you got to ask, like, is this not a good time, or you don't want to talk? That's an important thing. And also, for me, this is a big one when we talk about communication, the art of communication, because it really is an art form. a person who can say what they have to say, and make it be effective. We don't want to say go all around the block with everything that we want to say, because sometimes we'll get into so much details, or we'll tell a full story and then people will start tuning you out. So to be an effective communicator, be brief, you know. Just a few words are necessary, everybody, just a few words. So be brief, be specific, and get to the point of what you have to say. You don't want to go rounds and rounds and rounds and rounds it. just just cut to the chase. Just say, this and this, and in as few words, as specific as you can, and to the point. So people won't, their mind won't start wandering, or they won't start thinking about something else. So brief, specific, and to the point, especially when we are talking about, in a school setting, in business setting, with whatever you do for work. Brief, specific, to the point. Don't waste people's time. Just get to it. Just get to it. And especially too in relationships, if you have something you want to say, just get to it. Don't try to go around it or bring up other things. Just say what you need to say, brief, specific, and to the point. Respect other people and respect other people's time. I think that that's so important, to get to the point instead of what you call it, instead of um, I'm trying to think what I just lost my thought. Instead of just keep going around and around all the time, is so important for us to just get to it and to say what we need to say, right? And and that's important. It's so important to get to it and to not waste other people's time, because we don't like when other people waste our time, do we? We don't. It's not a nice thing to do, to do all those things. So, you know, do what you need to do, but be respectful and get to the point. And also, it's so important when we talk about communication and speaking effectively. Write things down, and put it in a safe place. I can say for myself that a lot of times we tend to think, oh, I'll remember somebody saying something. Oh yeah, yeah. Especially if you're busy or something, we think, oh, I'll remember that. And then as soon as you walk away, what did they say? And what date and who was it? So anything that's important, for us in business, or with an important date, write things down, so that you don't irritate a person that has told you something, so you don't have to keep asking over and over and over again. Write important things down and put it in a safe place so that you don't lose it. That's something that I used to do all the time. Having a cluttered space, we sometimes, it gets lost in the clutter, or we put it on a little piece of paper and we'll drop it somewhere. So make sure you have a notebook or something that you write down important things in, or put it as a note in your phone, somewhere where you're not going to lose it. Write things down, and this shows other people that we respect, them telling us one time. If you have to keep going back and back to asking somebody what they were saying, what did you say, what date was it, and who was it, what was the address, you really show that you're not listening to them, and that annoys other people. I can't say everybody, but that's one of my pet peeves. If I have to tell somebody something over and over and over again, one or two times, that's okay. But if I have to tell somebody something three or more times, that's that gets on my list to, like, now that you're being irritating. So write things down and put it in a safe place so that you don't have to worry about asking over and over and over again, because communication is so important, and we want to speak effectively to people. Write things down, put it in a safe place, and respect people's time. I think that that's so important. We always talk about how we want to be respected and how we have boundaries, right? Everybody has boundaries and things that they like and dislike. But also, are you respecting other people's boundaries? Are you doing things that show other people that I respect you and I respect your time too as well? So, it's a back and forth thing. Respect goes to two sides. It really does. Um, it goes both ways. And I think it wasn't until I got to be more mature that I understood that, about writing things down. I just thought, I'm busy or whatever. And if I need to, I'll just ask again and I'll just ask again and I'll just ask again. And now that I'm more mature, I can understand how that can irritate other people. So, write down, take some notes, pay attention. Okay. And also, a part of communicating effectively is so important to repeat back, repeat back, and not just say things, right? Not just say things, but repeat back so that we can know that what we said was effective, right? What am I saying right now that you heard what I said? So that's the whole part of communication. We want what we said to be received so that the person can understand. And it gets lost sometimes because what one person may say, another person takes it a different way based on what they've been through, what they're going through, and they may take it a whole completely different way. So when we ask somebody to repeat back, okay, what did I just talk about? When you ask them to repeat back, you can really find out how much they were listening and what they received from it. And it can be irritating sometimes, especially in business, when you ask people certain things and then they say, oh, I wasn't listening. So it's important to repeat back very important things that are important to you. It's so important to ask people, can you just give me a recap of what we talked about so I can know you know exactly what to do. So all of those things are so important. Hey Wanda, how are you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, so when we talk about the art of communicating and speaking effectively, this is something that I definitely had to learn when we talk about the art of communication, learning to slow down. And I think it can go for both um, ladies and gentlemen, learning to slow down. When we get excited about something, when we're talking, we sometimes will speak very rapidly, very fast. We get excited about something, and we got to learn to relax, relax, slow down a little bit, speak loud enough. I can say that for myself. Because I have a soft voice by nature. So I have to learn sometimes to speak up so that a person can hear what I'm saying, but also to not speak so fast that people will just like, oh, you're talking too fast and will just tune you out. That's a part of effective communication is not going speaking too fast or speaking too soft, but also on the other side not shouting too. I should have put that in there too. So slowing down, speaking loud enough, but not speaking too loud, right? Yeah, we don't want to be shouting so that another person can feel like you're barking orders at them or screaming. Nobody likes that. When we're talking to one another, we want it to be an even exchange. I say something, you say something. It's about speaking, receiving, listening, and making sure whatever it is that we have to say that it is taken in. So it's all of those things. Hey, Flowback, how are you doing? Welcome. I think that that's so important to talk about. Slowing down, speaking loud enough, and to not be yelling. I think that's something that I can say from my past, from my childhood, is learning that just because you're frustrated or you're going through something, yelling at another person is not communication. That's not an it's communication, but it's not an effective one. Yelling at another person is disrespectful, and a person will just tune you out. A person will stop trying to talk to you, and they'll block you out because you're being rude. We want to be respected, and we can't be overly like demanding and think, this is what I have to say, or you must agree with it, or you must like it. We can't be demanding of other people as adults and try to dominate things, okay? Just because we have something to say doesn't mean a person will agree with it or like it. So we gotta slow it down. We have to do all of those things right, because we want to respect each other and we want to speak effectively to people in business, in our families, in our romantic relationships, with all of those aspects. Um, Even here on this app of YouTube, it's important that when we say something, that the message comes across, because I can say for myself a lot of times that I feel like my message may get lost because maybe I was speaking too fast, or I wasn't speaking loud enough, or I feel like, or maybe I was shouting, or maybe I wasn't using the right words. So it's a lot of things that go into effective communication. I'm doing good. How are you? I'm doing awesome, Flobeck. Thank you so much for asking. And I have two more points. Yeah, I got two more points. Um, this is one I feel like is a big deal when we are talking about, the art of communicating effectively. I think it's so important that when someone is talking, it's so important to not interrupt. Um, don't interrupt another person when they're on their train of thought, because then a person loses what they were going to say. And it's also disrespectful. Wait until another person finishes talking, and then then say, "Oh, are you finished? Do you complete your thought?" That's respectful. That's being mature. That's being grown. That's being accountable. And more of us have to do it. I know that that's a thing that I always have to continuously work on, because when somebody's saying something or it's a good conversation and we have something to say, we just start talking, but that's not respectful. So, me too. That's a work in progress for myself too, as well, learning to not interrupt another person when they're talking to. I think that's really important. Don't interrupt others. That's an important thing. It's an important thing to do, is to don't interrupt. Let a person say what they have to say. Don't interrupt them. Don't like over talk. If somebody's saying something and they and then and then that person would just like shrink down, and you make them feel bad. And most of the time, people just either want to walk away, hang up the phone, whatever it is. No, nobody wants to like feel that I wasn't done talking or I had something else to say. I don't think that there's anybody out there that likes that. Thank you so much, Puzzle Pieces. I appreciate that. And I'm just speaking for myself. I know that when I have something that I'm saying and someone interrupts me, it kind of like irritates me, and I lose my train of thought, like what I'm going to say. And then I'm like, man, what did I even say? So, of course, I'm not listening to anything that they have to say. And I think that it's universal, it goes for everybody. And I think everybody, men and women, want to be respected. We want, when we're saying something, we want to be listened to, and we don't want to be interrupted. We don't want someone over talking us, dominating the conversation, or speaking for us what we're trying to say. So that's why being an effective communicator, we have to look back at ourselves and take an honest look. Like, do I interrupt? And then being honest, like, yeah, I do interrupt sometimes, or I do like I don't listen completely, or I tune people out, or whatever it is, that you do when we talk about communication. And then seek ways to improve it. Write it down. um, get yourself into, I have to I do this when somebody is talking and I hear them stop talking. I give a few seconds. I'll count to 5 before I start talking, because sometimes we'll think that a person is finished talking and start talking, and then they may have just been taking a breath. Yeah. So I'm this. I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm working on when it comes to communication. I think I do pretty well with the other things, but the interrupting part, yeah, that's that's you're guilty of that too. Puzzle pieces, yeah, yeah, all of that. So I think everybody has something to work on when we talk about communication. Everybody, some people, they talk too much. Some people don't talk enough. Some people talk very softly. Some people talk too loud. Um, so it's always something that we can do to improve, because the reason why I wanted to talk about this communication, because it affects everything. It affects all of our relationships, all of it, with our family, with our friends, with the person that we're in a relationship with your children. Everybody is affected in business. All relationships are affected with communication or the lack of it. So, I think the next point that I want to talk about is, lack of communication. That's an issue that I thought that was a good way to get back at people sometimes. Like if somebody would say something and I didn't like, I would stop talking to them. And I thought that was a very effective way of coping with whatever it is, giving somebody the silent treatment. And it really makes other people mad. It's not mature. If you have something and you don't like it, giving people the silent treatment does not help them. And I had to work on that. It took me a few years to get that out my system. I think it's natural for a lot of people when we get upset about something that somebody says to us. It was like, I'm just not talking to you anymore, or that's stupid. But it's so important that if somebody is doing something to you, hurt your feelings, or do something, you need to tell people what they are doing and why that it is affecting you. You can't just ignore people and think that they are going to know exactly what they're doing. No, we have to talk. We have to say, we have to communicate effectively. When you say X, Y, and Z, this is how you make me feel. And I don't like that. It makes me feel this or that. That's effective communication. But giving people the silent treatment is something that we may have done because maybe that's what you did throughout your life, maybe through your childhood, maybe somebody in your family did it and you picked up that bad habit. But motivators, we can always change. We can always change things. We really can. So we can always work on ourselves and not do the silent treatment stuff, because we wouldn't want anybody to give us a silent treatment. We wouldn't want anybody to treat us that way and ignore us. It doesn't feel nice to be ignored. I don't think anybody likes it, but it happens sometimes. This is the last point, everybody. We talk about the art of communicating effectively, speaking effectively. We got to talk to the audience. And when we talk about talking to the audience, it means that talk according to the audience. So, is it the people that you're talking to? Is it a professional setting with business? Are you talking to who you're building something with? So you would have a business, a professional conversation. You would use select words that are very respectful, saying miss or mister or judge or so and so. There's different types of communication with different people. So in the professional setting, you wouldn't want to be using a lot of word whiskers like and and all of those word whiskers. So also, if you are communicating, there's also the casual setting, like the relaxed, like how you would speak to your friends or your family, somebody that you actually know, that you can feel like you can just relax and just say whatever you want to say and not really have to put on, certain words with certain people, but there's different ways that you speak with different people. And also, you have to speak differently and communicate differently with a child or someone who has special needs or a senior citizen, someone that may need some extra patience. Maybe you're going to use words that are more easily understood, not bigger words that maybe they won't comprehend. We want to talk according to our audience, who we're talking to. Is it in a business setting, professional? That's when you would say Mr., Miss, Judge, so and so. And then there's the casual setting. So you'll be more relaxed, that you can use your slang in your word whiskers and your whatever, because you don't have to put on anything, because it's not really a business setting. And then there's the one where the communication where you speak to a child or a special needs person or a senior citizen, they may require a little more patience and understanding, where you when you communicate with them, you would get down on their level and look at them in their eyes. So there's many ways to communicate with your audience. So we want to make sure that we're reaching and touching the right people at the right times, and making them feel very seen. I think that's so important. Hey, Uncle Al, how are you doing? Welcome. Good to see you. Hey, Shantirement. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome in, everybody. Yeah, I think that that's so important to talk to your audience, and make talk to your right audience. I think that that's something that I didn't really comprehend before. That I was just talking to people like everybody was the same, and you have to be respectful when you're coming. Uh, you know, um, let's see. You really have to talk according to your audience and tell people how you really feel. I think that that's so important. You know, speak in a professional way to professionals. Um, talk in a relaxed way, casual way to what you call it, to friends and family, the one that you're in a relationship with, or to a child, a senior citizen, someone who has special needs. Yeah, all of those things. So um, that's all the information that I have from here today. I thank you all so much for joining me today. I just really wanted to, talk about communication and why it's so important to communicate effectively, to talk to people, and don't like make any assumptions. And I'll just do a quick recap of everything that I talked about, because we want to it's an art form. We want to be able to communicate effectively. We want to make sure that we're showing respect for other people when we communicate. So it's important, listen, listen, and listen, right? Yeah, all of those things. And it's important, respect other people's opinions and thoughts. We have to do that. Respect that everybody is not the same. Everybody can have different things and feelings and all of those things. Ask questions. If there's something that you don't know, if there's something that you don't understand, ask it. That's how we show we're adults. That's how we gain more knowledge. That's how we gain understanding. That's how we show we're mature and we're not kids, right? Yeah. Ask questions and don't assume. Let's not make assumptions, right? Don't make assumptions about other people. Don't assume that you know. Don't assume that you understand. If you really don't, if you don't comprehend, ask, okay? And it's a no judgment zone. Don't judge other people based on, their gender, what they have financially. Be respectful of everybody, unless a person is not being respectful to you. And there's a communication when it comes to body language, right? A person communicates by looking at you in your eyes, not looking at you, folding their hands, being on their phone. People communicate with their body, and we have to pay attention to all of those signs. And also be brief, specific, and to the point when we are communicating. Be specific, say what you have to say, get to the point, because especially when it comes to business or somebody that you're romantically involved with, people don't want to wait. Just tell me what it is and then be done with it, right? And the same thing with kids. You don't want to go into all these details like you do with adults. You have to treat different people accordingly, okay? Be brief and go to the point. So write the important things down, put it in a safe place. So if somebody tells you something, write it down, put it in a safe place so that you don't have to go back and backtrack and ask questions, because it can annoy people sometimes. Write things down. And also repeat back what somebody said to you so that you are sure that you got what they were talking about. So the message was received, okay? And also slow down. Speak loud enough. And also don't speak too loud. We don't want to be shouting at people to make other people feel like, oh, you're so rude. And it just may be naturally how you speak, but you may have to lower your volume or your tone so that other people may not feel like you're being disrespectful. And also, very important in communication is to not interrupt others when they're saying something to us. Don't interrupt them. Don't be disrespectful. There's a time and a place to do things. We don't want to embarrass other people. Yeah, it's all those things, okay? And this was the last point. Talk according to the audience, everybody. Talk according to the audience. You have your business communication, you have your casual communication, and you have those of children, special needs, or those who have children, special needs, and those who have disabilities mentally. And all of those ways are important, and everybody deserves to be communicated and heard. And it's so important to speak effectively with others, because it shows how much we really do care about other people in our life, our family, our friends, the ones that you're in a relationship with, and also in business. If you really don't understand, ask some questions. We talked about the art of communicating because it's so important to communicate, everybody. So important. Hey, Sirius, how are you doing? Welcome. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Yes, dope session. Thank you so much, Realist One. And shout out to the mods and everybody who tuned in today, those who watched now live and those who watched on the replay. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys tomorrow, and tomorrow, where we're going to be talking about another dose of positivity, something that we all need. We all need effective communication. We all need to understand and be respectful of other people. Respect others and respect yourself. I am Marlene. I'm the content creator of Marlene Motivates, and I thank you all so much for being motivated. Go after your dreams, everybody. Believe in yourself. Love on yourself and be the best you that you can each and every day. I appreciate you guys and have a great rest of your day. And shout out to the members, my moderators, for holding it down. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Be encouraged, be inspired, be yourself, you will survive. Just know it, just breathe it, and be
forgive me. I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you? I forgive me. I love me. I've been blessed that I have made it through. I'm stronger and worthy. I am enough now. What about you?